Fish on Fridays. I'm McCauley, and today I want to talk to you about something I stumbled across relatively recently that I'd never seen before or heard of before, and I just couldn't wait to make an episode of Fish on Fridays about it. And I'm talking about two different icons that show or depict Mary as the burning bush. And you might say, well, that's a strange connection, but I just want to talk about it briefly because I just think it's such a cool thing to see how the Old Testament, what we call the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, how it foreshadows what happens in the New Testament. And what's in the New Testament fulfills what happens in the Old Testament. That's how Catholics read the Bible. The Old and the New Testament speak to each other. They're in constant dialogue. And this is just an incredible example of that. And it comes from, like I said, two icons from the Eastern Orthodox tradition. And they depict Mary holding Jesus, baby Jesus or young Jesus, and she is surrounded by the burning bush. Now, the burning bush story, we all know it's a classic story about Moses, God calling Moses to go to Egypt to free the slaves. This happens in Exodus 3. That's where you can read the burning bush story. But what do we know about the burning bush? We know that God uses his creation, a bush, to speak his words to Moses. And the bush is on fire, but it's not consumed. It's not destroyed. It still has life. And it's fascinating to think about that the uncontainable God was contained briefly in this created thing, this bush. And it was on fire with the word of God. And the word of God spoke to Moses, directing him what to do. Now, if we fast forward to Mary and why she's referred to as the burning bush, if you think about this, God, the uncontained God, is contained inside of Mary. And yet she's not consumed. She's not destroyed by it. And just like in the burning bush, his word came through the bush to Moses, Jesus, the word, capital W, comes through Mary. If you read the prologue, the beginning, chapter 1 of John's gospel, we're told that very famously that in the beginning was the Word, capital W. The Word refers to the second person of the Trinity, Jesus. And so in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. And so Mary, just like the burning bush, both things are, God uses both created things to speak his word to humanity. And neither of those created things was destroyed or was consumed by it. I just think it's a fascinating connection to see Mary's important. For those people who don't understand why Catholics hold Mary in such high esteem, this is one of many of the reasons. It's because she is connected to the Old Testament, to the prophecies, to all the stories from Moses on down about the Jews awaiting the Messiah and how the word would come into the world. And the burning bush gives us an indication of the ultimate word, Jesus, and his birth through Mary. So just a wonderful thing to think about and to meditate about perhaps, and two beautiful iconic images to think about as well. So a brief episode today, but packs a lot of punch. I hope you'd agree. So thanks for watching. We would love it if you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would love it if you would follow us on Facebook. But either way, please keep tuning in every Friday for Fish on Fridays. Until next time, please be good to each other and God bless.